In this video, we're looking at the database concept, and so we're just getting a general overview and feel for what a database is. So let's first of all look at something which definitely is not a database. And here we've got some information about films, and the reason this isn't a database because it does contain data, and the original word for database actually came from data bank, which is somewhere where you put information in, like you put money into a bank. And so, in theory, we could say this is a database, but it's not. And even though we have things in here like we've got titles of a film, we've got when it was released, we've got the director, the certificate it got, and some rating score, even though that information's there, it's disorganized, and that's the main reason that this is not a database, even though it's got data inside it. And there's other disadvantages. We can't have necessarily several people looking at this at the same time, and possibly it's organized in files, which is disorganized compared to a database. So let's look at the same information which has been put into a database. And so here we've got some common features of a database. Going across, we have records. And there are other names for these in databases, but we'll stick with the easy names to begin with. So records going across. So in this case, we've got 7 records in here. And coming down, we've got fields. And this ID is a field as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fields in this table. And this here is a table. And so we can define what a database is with the following definition, that it is a persistent, organized store of data. So persistent means that it won't go away, it's non-volatile, so when we turn off the computer it's not going to suddenly disappear on us. The database information stays there. That's what persistent means. It persists, it stays there. Organized, so in this case I've organized into these different fields and into these different records, and that's where we fell down on the previous example. So this example here, this is not a database because it's not organized. And it stores data, which this does. So this ticks all the boxes. This is an example of a database. And software which allows you to do this, to organize data and store it in a persistent way, is database software. Some examples of database software would be Microsoft Access, which is relatively easy to use and provides you with some extra facilities for reports and forms and things. And another well-known example which is used for a lot of databases which are on the web would be MySQL, and there's other variations of this which work with web software. Now, databases are fairly easy things to understand in terms of what they can do, and so once they're created we need to be able to maintain them, and that means that we can insert data into them, so insert records into them, that we can update records or fields and the data within them, and we can also delete. So for example, I could decide that I want to add in a new record, and so I could put in a new record here and give an ID of 8 and then fill in the title, the year, director, certificate and rating. So this is inserting. I could update an existing record, so I could decide that instead of maybe I've made a mistake here and I've got the year wrong, so I could update this and put in a different year. And equally, I could delete it, and I could say, actually, I don't want that in my database, and so I could delete the whole record. So this is maintaining the database, and that ability is part of what databases should be able to do. The other very important feature which I should be able to do with a database is to be able to interrogate my data. And we do interrogation of the data, finding things out with something known as queries. And so I can give queries like, I want all of the films which were released after the year 1994, not including 1994, so I will take these films here and That's all. And so if I ran the query, give me all the films which were released after 1994 from the database, I would receive these two records here. I could do another query saying I want all of those films which are less than a PG in their certificate, and so I would get this film here come back. And so this is interrogating the database, and we use queries in order to do this.